Shalom, family. I was trying to test out the video before we got started, but yeah, no, I definitely think this is a problem on StreamYard's end. So give me one more moment. I'm going to see what happens when I play just a little bit of it. Give me 1 second here.
So Trump's Justice Department is going to investigate the DC.
Okay. All right. Maybe it's going to be okay this time. All right. I'm not going to. I mean, I can always download it again. That's what I did the other 2 times. So, shalom, family. Good to see you here. We're going to talk about something that's going on with the DC Metro Police. Apparently, y'all, the DC police have been cooking the books. So, they've been lying about crime statistics. So, let's say, for example, a felony arrests. They did a felony arrest. Well, they'll report that felony arrest as a misdemeanor. So it appeared like the city's crime was going down, but actually it wasn't. The police were the ones manipulating the crime data numbers. So the DC Metro Police is under investigation by the DOJ. So who knows how long they've been over there cooking the books, but they've been doing this for quite some time. Now, I don't know. I don't know if this has something to do with why Donald Trump got the, National Guard and the feds all up in there. But, there's still an issue with how they're arresting people. I looked at several videos, y'all. They're just walking up to random people and just arresting them. And I'm like, okay, well, where's the criminals? Shouldn't you be getting the criminals? They're just walking up to people. I don't see how that's going to do anything about your crime going on. But I'm going to let you listen to this video so you can get a good idea of what the police were doing. But you know what? Cops in America have always been shady. And we, as a community, we are probably one of the only groups that have zero trust for these police because we know white people like the police. And many of these other groups, they don't have the issues with the cops like we did. We have every reason not to trust the police because of how just that whole organization and how they started out. They were slave catchers. And now those are your modern day police, and some of those people on there come from generations of policing. Oh, well, my great great grandfather was a cop and my grandfather was a cop and I'm a cop. They come from a long line of cops, and we know cops have these cops are bigger criminals than the people they're arresting. Look at how many of these cops never saw a day in jail for killing one of our people, especially our men, you know? And some of them have shot so many people, they're on a level of a serial killer as far as I'm concerned. But the bottom line is they get away with more attacks on people than anyone else. But never, we have every reason not to trust them. And, every now and then you'll get one of them coons, like your Byron Donalds or Tim Scott. They'll talk all great about the police and they're full of crap. And at one point, Tim Scott even had to admit he was profiled on several occasions. I mean, get out of here. These people are so fun. These politicians are so fake. It's not even funny. But the fact that they're falsifying information, well, hey, if you're going to falsify a police report, why would you not falsify the data too? I mean, why would they stop at the police report? And enough is not even done to these cops when they falsify reports. That is done all over the country. And as far as I'm concerned, when you are caught falsifying and lying all over a police report, not only should you be fired, you should be jailed. Because the fact that you're lying on the police report, you did something wrong during that arrest, or that person getting killed, like a Breonna Taylor. Even in the case of Breonna Taylor, those cops lied all over the police reports about what happened that night with Breonna Taylor. And that's the kind of policing we get. Or we get the cops that are planting evidence on people, planting drugs. I mean, look, we even saw the videos on YouTube of these cops planting drugs on, especially our men. They love planting guns and drugs and all kinds of stuff on our men. They do it to, the men in our community more than anyone else. And some of them will be right in your face lying. We've seen that too. Oh, he hit me. I feared for my life. They got a gun. They got a gun. You know what I mean? They have lied to no end about our folks. We got every reason not to trust them or not to even want them around. You know, I remember when I was growing up, I had a couple of cousins. They were, when I was a kid, they were already teenagers. And a couple of them, when we would be walking, right? We would be walking and we would see some cop cars. My cousins would grab my arm and we would go in another direction, or we would do a shortcut down an alley just to avoid going around the police. And for a long time, I didn't understand that because I was a child. But man, as I started getting older and started seeing how these cops treated our people, I fully understood. I fully understood why my cousins were doing that. So, y'all, let me go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully, there won't be any problems this time. All right. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
So Trump's Justice Department is going to investigate the DC police to see if they falsified records in order to make it look like crime was not as bad as it was. Because if you're unaware, when Trump announced his takeover of DC, all of the news latched onto the fact that the DC Police Department has actually reported that crime has gone down in DC, not up. We're actually at one of the lowest crime rates in DC since the past 2 decades. And this is just a remaining escalation in Trump's battle against DC because he's experienced a couple different roadblocks. Basically, there's a judge that stepped in and said what he's doing is illegal, and the mayor of DC is starting to finally push back a little bit. And he also has a time limit. The clock is basically ticking because the law that he used in order to send troops into DC basically states that he's only allowed to do it for a month or two. Though he's already stated that he plans to try to make it go longer because he feels he's allowed to, and all he has to do is declare a state of emergency within District of Columbia. From what I've heard from people out of DC, other than it being very dystopian and people carrying around guns, not much has changed. I know there's been reports of the homeless being relocated, but we haven't been told where, or we'll find out more as this investigation moves forward, but that's where we are now.
Trump's DOJ is launching a criminal investigation into the Washington, D.C. police for allegedly faking crime data. Here are 3 things you need to know about it. Number 1, Police Commander Michael Pulliam was already placed on paid leave last week for allegedly faking crime reports to make the city seem safer than it actually is. Number 2, because of this, the DOJ now says they're going to investigate if other offers also manipulated crime data. And number 3, Trump keeps saying crime is at a historic high, even though DOJ data shows it's actually at a 30-year low. If Trump and the DOJ can question crime data, then he can justify sending in the National Guard to DC. Make no mistake, Trump is trying to manufacture consent for militarizing DC.
They took out the juvenile crime rates, and we see that 18 above, it's still above average. Now, when you add in the juvenile, it's even more outrageous.
So it appears the police union has blown the whistle on the Metropolitan Police Department's crime data. Looks like somebody's cooking the books, or should I say, the crime stats. I mean, could this be why the federal government is taking control of law enforcement in the metropolitan area of Washington, D.C.?
Check this out. Have y'all seen what's going on in D.C.? A police commander is being accused of manipulating the crime statistics. And I tell you this, he's not going to be the only one. There's more to come, because it's being reported that these police commander staff is telling their staff to report crimes as lesser offenses. So, for example, instead of a carjacking, instead of a pewing, instead of a stabbing, they'll tell them, hey, report that as theft, like the carjacking as theft. Report the stabbing as a injured person to the hospital, right? So it's a lesser offense. And the loophole is felony assault, because a felony assault is not reportable to their daily crime statistics, nor is it reportable to the FBI crime uniform program. So it's not going to impact the statistics one way or another. They're not going to add that to the statistics, right? Because it's a lesser crime and it doesn't qualify as a criminal offense to be reported to the statistics. So that's how they're getting away with it, by changing these higher crimes like felony offenses to felony assault. So what other statistics out there are they manipulating? If they could get away with charging Group A with a higher offense than Group B when they committed the same crime, how are they impacting these percentages and people lives, just playing with people's lives, taking time away from them?
Felony assault is not a category of crime that's listed on the department's daily crime stats. It's also not something that's a requirement of the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program. So by changing criminal offenses from, for example, ADW bat or ADW gun to felony assault, that would avoid both the MPD and the FBI from reporting that as a Part 1 or a felony offense.
DC Police Union is putting its allegations on the record tonight, claiming police supervisors in the department are manipulating crime data to make it appear violent crime has fallen considerably when compared to last year.
When our members respond to the scene of a felony offense where there is a victim reporting that a felony occurred, inevitably there will be a lieutenant or a captain that will show up on that scene and direct those members to take a report for a lesser offense. So instead of taking a report for a shooting or a stabbing or a carjacking, they will order that officer to take a report for a theft or an injured person to the hospital or a felony assault, which is not the same type of classification.
Greg Pemberton says the police department's command staff is focusing on two categories in order to get the numbers to fall. They are armed with a dangerous weapon, an injured person to the hospital.
When management officials are directing officers to take reports for felony assault, or if they're going back into police databases and changing offenses to felony assault is not a category of crime that's listed on the department's daily crime stats. It's also not something that's a requirement of the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting Program. So by changing criminal offenses from, for example, ADW bat or ADW gun to felony assault, that would avoid both the MPD and the FBI from reporting that as a Part 1 or a felony offense.
Pemberton says the union has been gathering evidence for some time now by looking at reports and talking with officers all over the city.
What we've heard through our members and through members of management that are willing to talk with the union is that this is a directive from the command staff, is that they want to make sure that these classifications of these reports are adjusted over time to make sure that the overall crime stats stay down.
As of last Monday, when we spoke with Pemberton, DC crime data shows violent crime was down 28%. Today, the department's website says violent crime is down 25% when compared to the same time last year, and overall crime is down 8%.
That's preposterous. There's absolutely no way crime could be down 28%. Last year, they suggested that it went down 34%.
As for the claims made by the union, Chief Smith released this statement. It says, the Metropolitan Police Department is committed to upholding the trust and the confidence of the public. Any irregularity in crime data brought to my attention will be addressed immediately. I do not condone any official reclassifying criminal offenses outside the guidelines set in the MPD policy. Any allegation of this behavior will be dealt with through our internal processes, which will ensure those members are held accountable. I have the utmost confidence in the command staff leadership currently in place across the Metropolitan Police Department. And
from the post-millennial, DC police commander placed on leave over deliberately falsifying crime data. As attention has turned to Washington, D.C. and crime in the district in the wake of a former DOJ employee being attacked, it has been revealed that a commander with the Metropolitan Police Department was placed on paid administrative leave in mid-May after being accused of falsifying crime data. Commander Michael Pulliam?
I think it's Pulliam. But if you scroll down, look at what the police union had said about this guy. Wait.
Libby wrote it, so
No, I didn't. Hannah wrote it. There it is. When our members respond to the scene of a felony offense where there is a victim, scroll back up.
Where is it?
Where there is a victim reporting that a felony occurred, inevitably there will be a lieutenant or a captain that will show up on that scene and direct those members to take a report for a lesser offense. So instead of taking a report for a shooting or a stabbing or a carjacking, they will order that officer to take a report for a theft or an injured person to the hospital or a felony assault, which is not the same type of classification. So what they're saying is when there's a crime, captain will show up when the police are doing their job and be like, you know what, this wasn't a carjacking. This was just pushing somebody down.
So what's the motivation for that?
The motivation for that would be to have decrease in criminal stats.
And then you get more money.
Then it doesn't look like your city's that bad.
Oh, so now the Democrats are doing a great job. Like this Democrat city is
cooking the books.
Cooking the books to make it look like the crime isn't as bad. And I was talking to this is DC.
Okay.
This is DC. And I was talking to post-millennial staffers, Hannah Nightingale, who wrote this story, who used to live in DC. And she was telling me that she's seen crazy stuff at the Navy Yard with just like gangs of teenagers going around harassing people and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, which DC is, DC is a mess anyway, and it has very poor leadership, and that's why Trump is trying to federalize it. But I thought that was absolutely crazy that this is what officers would do. A captain, a lieutenant.
Well, I mean, we've all known dirty cops. I mean, I
don't know any cops.
I've known a lot of police officers.
I know zero
I've grown up with them.
This is like a different kind of dirty, because usually dirty cops,
it goes the other way.
They beat the crap out of
and
you
then plant something on you.
This is like they're not.
And then they get paid off by the mob or something.
This is a lack of beating. This is like not enough beating the crap out.
Yeah, when we were growing up in Chicago, they'd plant stuff on you so they can write you a ticket. Now they're like,
we could use a little planning actually in this situation.
I'm curious, like, is he getting paid to do this? Because why would you put your job at risk? Like, what is he getting in return for falsifying?
Coming from higher up, maybe.
Yeah, he's getting something in exchange.
For sure.
It must be the culture of the Metro.
You're not just doing it because you like Democrats.
But it's like
it must be the culture of the Metro PD.
But it's like a school. If you're the teachers in a school, right? So the police officers are the teachers. You want it to look like the kids are doing good for the school. So if they're all lying together, then it's like we're
just giving the testing.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I'll quickly address something really important point that you brought up about police faking the numbers to make themselves look good.
Yes.
One thing that we haven't mentioned yet is the fact that they've been reclassifying crimes altogether.
Yes.
The things that have been previously flagged as felonies are now misdemeanors. So obviously it looks like a crime drop when it actually hasn't been that way.
Can I add one more?
All right, y'all. One of the contributors I thought, now the commissioner, you saw that's a white dude. And from what I understand, these supervisors and stuff are too. And listen, y'all, I'm not surprised they're the ones advising people to lie. That should be of no shock. But at the end of the day, is it about money? Do they get more money if crime is down? So if crime is down, then are these police departments rewarded? So it's got to be something in there. These dudes ain't doing this stuff for nothing. It must be a money thing. If they can make it look like crime is down in a city, it must be some award. Are they promoted? Are they given more a bonus? It's got to be something that we don't see on the surface. That's how I see it. They must be getting some type of monetary award for keeping the crime down. You know, I doubt if they're doing it for no reason, because these folks just don't do anything for no reason. It's got to be some shady crap behind it. How you doing, Tareen? But I'm not surprised. But now it kind of makes a little more sense on why Trump federalized DC, because these cops were not on the up and up. But see, when we have been complaining about policing in this country, people have blown it off as nothing. But now, you know what I mean, y'all? Everything in the dark will come to light. Now, the people that normally defend cops, what do you have to say about this? What do you have to say about this? Because every time we would have a complaint about the police, and didn't our people also complain about the police reports being false? The ones that got arrested or things they put in the police report that never even happened? These are things our people been complaining about forever. But like I said, when the complaint comes from us, it's not legitimate. Or that can't be true. The cop wouldn't do that. Oh, why would the cop lie and all that stuff, right? All right. So all of you folks that are always on the soapbox defending police, what the hell do you have to say about this? What they'll do, y'all? They'll go silent. They won't say anything. They'll just go completely silent. If anything, policing by far is one of the most untrustworthy professions out here. They are. And you always get the person, well, there are good cops. Are there really? If they're not going to speak up or do nothing about the ones that are shady, are they really good? Can there be a such thing as a good cop on all of these corrupt police departments around the country? Because every last one of them are corrupt. I don't think you can point to one where it's not corrupt. All of them are. Everything these people touch is corrupt. I'm just saying, y'all. So I'm going to go ahead and conclude. I got one more live stream at 8:45, and this one is an update on ICE and the what they call Native Americans, which we know they're not. These are Siberians that walked over here, and there were people already in the land. And this government decided to name this particular group the natives. And now it's coming out these people aren't native at all. That's why Donald Trump got ICE all on their behinds now. So make sure you come back at 8:45 to get that update. Thank you, everybody. I got one person to thank. Okay, Elaine Early, thank you so much for the super sticker and your support for my channel. I deeply appreciate it. Thank you. So everybody, I will see you later. Shalom, family.